As Representative George Santos, Republican New York, faces charges of being an allegedly shameless crook as well as a serial liar, those seeking to claim his seat include a retired detective who would be the only person in Congress with working knowledge of how to actually control crime. During his time with the New York City Transit Police and then the NYPD, Detective Mike Cipriacone was one of a tight crew assembled by policing genius Jack Maple, whose strategies transformed New York from Fear City, with more than 2,000 murders a year, into the safest big city in America with less than 400. Cipriacone had known Maple since they both attended Holy Child Grammar School in Queens. Cipriacone was a transit detective. Maple became a transit lieutenant and covered a squadron's walls with what he called the charts of the future, computer paper on which his cops used crayons to color code the details of each subway crime, thereby enabling them to spot patterns. Maple combined that with a basic precept as simple as those taught by the nuns at Holy Child: treat every crime as if the victim were your mother. When Rudy Giuliani was elected mayor in 1994, he appointed former Transit Police Chief William Bratton the new NYPD commissioner. Bratton had come to recognize Maple's genius and promoted him in one unprecedented jump to deputy commissioner. Maple extended throughout the city the precept about the importance of each victim. He thereby pressed NYPD commanders to treat black equals on black crime as seriously as black on white crime. And that changed everything. At periodic meetings called CompStat, the charts of the future were updated to computerized pin maps, where a crime was represented by the same sized, whether it was on ritzy Central Park South or the toughest street in East New York. Maple was liable to point to any of these dots and ask a commander to detail how he or she addressed the particular crime with the application of 4 operating principles: accurate, timely intelligence, rapid deployment, effective tactics, relentless follow-up. Nobody was more relentless than Cipriacone, as the NYPD generated a reduction in crimes so dramatic that Bratton became a celebrity. A jealous Giuliani subsequently drove Bratton out. Maple chose to go with him, later noting that Giuliani never understood what caused the drop in crime for which he demanded credit. "He's worse than a perp." Mike Cipriacone. CompStat continued, but it passed into the hands of people who began to use it as a personnel management tool, a way to control cops as much as to control crime. It became all about the numbers of arrests and summonses rather than the importance of each and every victim. But the underlying principle that a dot is a dot still kept crime at record lows. Cipriacone stayed relentlessly true to the Maple mission until he retired in 2000. Maple fell critically ill with cancer and Cipriacone went to visit him in the hospital. "I spent a good 2 hours with Jack," Cipriacone recalled to the Daily Beast on Tuesday. "We both cried a little bit and laughed about a whole bunch of stuff." Cipriacone added, "I loved him. I learned a lot of things from him." Maple died in August of 2001. Cipriacone started a successful private security company whose clients included Apple. He became a big success as he approached business much as he had policing with Maple. "Strategies and looking at things and asking the questions nobody asks," Cipriacone said. "And to listen to people." At the heart of it was what had also been at the heart of it with Maple. "In my mind, like policing is common sense," Cipriacone said. "You could train and do whatever, but it's really all about common sense. If you don't have common sense, you fail." In September, Cipriacone sold his business and pondered his next adventure. His wife, Eileen Daly Cipriacone, is a Nassau County judge who had successfully run for family court and then Supreme Court. He had been intrigued by the process. He also began to feel that somebody had to do something as New York seemed in danger of reverting to the bad old days. "People from Long Island don't want to take the train into the city," he said. "And once they get in the city, they don't want to go on a subway. It's just gotten to a point where it's just totally ridiculous." He then saw both an opportunity and a necessity when a compound scandal unfolded around his representative in Congress. Suprayacone felt he had placed better people than George Santos in handcuffs. "He's worse than a perp," Suprayacone said of Santos. "He's a stain." Suprayacone decided to make a bid for the spot, whether or not Santos manages to keep his seat until the primary. "I said, you know, I could do this, I can certainly do this kind of thing," he recalled. Suprayacone is giving some press interviews and going on various TV and radio shows meeting with people who know Nassau County politics. He is also fundraising. "I have to start to learn, how do I ask people for money," he said. "I think that's the hardest part of this whole thing. And I've got to raise a lot of money to make sure that I'm viable." If Maple were around, he would say Suprayacone is nothing if not relentless, and the charts of the future just may see common sense come to Congress.